Shall we begin?
You are now listening to an altogether less fashionable variety of soccer podcast. Broadcasting live from the capital city of Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to
ACES Radio.
I got the new wings with the Zima flavor sauce.
I've given this no thought whatsoever.
Hashtag probably riding cock.
They're in your face. They're a little different. I think it's super cool. I love them. Jamie, you ignorant slut.
Hold on to your butts.
Now, here are your hosts.
Not Morgan Hughes. Rest.
John Zadar. And Darby Snarpus.
No!
Welcome back, edgelords, bezlords, and shitlords. It's time. Here we are again. It's ACES Radio. I know you missed us. I know you've been pining, mostly in a sexual way, for our sweet baritone voices. Mostly mine. Maybe a little bit of Darby's, but mostly mine. Not for Brent's at all. And speaking of the lads, Darby, how are you doing? It's been another week. How are you faring?
It has been another week. I've now reached the point where I'm ordering things on Amazon in that just to give you something to look forward to kind of way. You're like, you know what I really need right now is a 6-pack of athletic socks. And yes, I could go to Target and I could buy them there. But if I order it, then I get to play the Amazon game where you see when the estimated delivery is, and then you start guessing how long it's actually going to take. Is it going to be sooner or later?
So I haven't ordered anything. Are deliveries on time right now, Darby?
If you're used to the Amazon Prime 2-day purchase world, that's not really a thing anymore. But it does seem like things have been coming quicker than they're estimating, which is probably a smart move. You know, if you're going to be delayed in this world, and I think everybody understands that the world, you know, everything is on delay, everything is inefficient, and it's going to be a hassle, and you're just going to deal with it. They're at least being honest and like, yeah, it might take a week for you to get your stuff. But, you know, when I think especially when you're ordering non-essential things, it seems like they're doing a good job of prioritizing, not being like, oh, we have to get him a thing to hang his headphones on by tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. And speaking of things that are delayed and typically inefficient, Brent, how have you been?
Is there a third person on this podcast? Because I'm really not sure who you were describing there.
There is a third person on this podcast, Brent. It's you. You are literally the third person.
Yeah, and you're incredibly
Darby,
quiet
I don't
this week.
count as a third host. We established this at the beginning of the season.
Well, you didn't say a third host. You said a third person. And by the strictest definition of the word, you are a person.
I think most people would still disagree with that, too.
Well, whether you're a human being, count as a human being or not, how have you been? How is the world treating you? How is the outside? I miss it.
This last week was actually pretty good. Yeah, doing pretty well. I'll drop a bit of personal news here. I have actually put in my 2-week notice at my current job. We'll be leaving that. So, feeling pretty good about that.
Well, congratulations if you're feeling good about it. So you've decided that all the extra hours and the overtime pay and stuff isn't worth it.
The extra hours really haven't been there recently. They're kind of funneling some of the other parts of the business that aren't able to work right now over to our side so that they can kind of share the work among everyone. So the hours were kind of down.
So it feels like a perilous time to be switching jobs. I assume if you've given your 2 weeks, you have another position somewhere already lined up. Is this going to be something similar to what you're doing now, or is it going to be a big switch for you?
No, I actually was able to get a position with Battelle's critical care decontamination project.
Oh, so you're going to be like doing the spray thing on masks so that they can get reused again?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Will you be like a sprayer person, or are you involved in like the logistics of it, or what will it involve? Do you know yet?
We see Darby. They're actually going to be having Brent lick the masks clean. They figure if he contracts all the COVID on them, then they're safe to be handed back out.
That's true. That's a good approach. Yeah, like if one person would just absorb all the coronavirus, then the rest of us wouldn't have to deal with it. So thank you for your service.
Not a problem. I mean, if it pays well enough, I'm willing to do it.
I did see that those positions are paying quite well.
Yeah, it's starting out at $20 an hour, I think.
Yeah, well,
but it also like they're looking for people to travel to other places because they're opening like 60 sites across the country.
Oh, so like not just within the city or state, but also nationwide.
Yeah.
And are you anticipating having to be one of those people who travels, or are you going to be working the local position?
I think they'll be sending me somewhere, but I'm not sure yet.
Oh, lovely. Well, get a little bit of culture out there in the world. That won't hurt you, Brent.
I for one am looking forward to you renting your temporary living arrangements in Austin, Texas. # Bront to ATX.
Well, they would be paying for it, so if that's where they want to send me, that's fine.
I'm looking very much forward to the Bront on tour updates as this saga unfolds.
I'm sure with everything being wide open for business, they'll be thrilling.
Well, with the lad check-in out of the way, we've got very few things to talk about this week, so it's going to be a short show here. I can't remember was this Silver Linings thing new for this week, or was this from last week and just didn't get deleted, guys? It's a very professional show here.
No, that is new for this week. Okay.
Well, we've got Silver Lining. We've got a topic of conversation here titled "Silver Linings of the COVID-19 Shutdowns." Whichever one of you shitlords wrote this in here, why don't you go first and discuss your thoughts on what the silver linings of being stuck in your home for over a month are?
All right. So basically, I think everybody's kind of aware that this shutdown has been difficult for everybody, not just the people that are complaining the loudest. But I don't know. I found that it's kind of been helpful for me. And like,
Brett, you have slowly been sounding shittier and shittier as the show has gone on.
Well, I can't help that.
Oh, there you go. You now you sound fantastic.
I have no idea what the difference is. I'm not doing anything differently than I was earlier.
It sounded like you were muffled when I told you sounded bad, so now you sound good.
Yes, thank you for taking the pillow off your face. Please suffocate yourself after the show.
Right. This is one of the few times where it's okay for you to remove the bucket.
John, I never remove the bucket. It's for safety. It has to stay on at all times.
Okay, well, whatever you're doing right now is working. Go ahead and continue what you were saying.
All right, so as I was saying, the shutdown's been hard for everybody. But I found that it's been helpful for me and like my mental health, just to try to find like a couple of positive things to focus on. So one of the examples that I'll give is that throughout this time, I have been able to like get outside and exercise more than what I was doing previously. Boom, silver lining, a small positive change that I was able to make.
Okay. Let's see. One for me, I would say it's been a silver lining to be doing most of my own food preparation, not really eating out or anything, saving money. It's been fun to try new recipes and eat new foods and just cook more at home. I enjoy cooking. I just don't do it very often because it's just me. It feels like a lot of work for one person, but with no other choice, I've been doing shitloads of it. So I actually made a shepherd's pie this afternoon that I took I kept one. I did 2 casserole dishes of it, one for me, and then I took the other one over to our favorite new parent, Pam, and her deceased husband, Morgan, rest. So that's my biggest silver lining. That's what I've been enjoying the most, is like being a big life change for me.
So how much did you pee in Morgan's shepherd pie before you delivered it? That's the important question.
Well, see, I thought about that. I thought about all of the things I could do to it, but then I realized that Pan was going to have to eat it as well, and I didn't want to punish her more than she's already being punished by being married to Morgan, so I actually didn't do anything to it.
That's fair. Yeah, I'm trying to be a little more interesting in cooking as well. I will say, actually, I find I'm kind of enjoying the whole concept of virtual hangouts. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy, in-person hangouts, and I miss like tailgates and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes, like on a Friday night, you just kind of want to hang out at home and not fucking do anything and wear sweatpants, but you also kind of want to do something with your friends. This is something that I wouldn't mind if is occasionally a thing in the future, maybe especially in the winter when it's not really feasible, or there's not a lot going on for people to share in socially. I think this is kind of a cool thing. There are certain people that I have wound up visually seeing more often than I expected, and it's a good thing. And I think this has kind of been a reminder for a lot of us to make those efforts to just occasionally talk to people, even just shooting them a text message. Like sometimes I find myself texting someone just because these days, whereas maybe before I just wouldn't have, because there's other stuff going on. So yeah, some increased communication and a new mode in which you can see the people you care about.
Yeah, I've been part of a few video hangouts. I think it's interesting. Digital hangouts have been something that I've kind of been doing for a long time now, just because like I spend a lot of time on the computer and I play a lot of video games, but sometimes I have friends, some of my closest friends who live out of state, and so there are times when we're even not just playing video games, we're just hanging out and talking, and we'll be online. So it's been kind of fun to see the rest of the world that isn't so accustomed to doing that kind of jump full feet first into doing it. It's been fun to jump on calls with people who I would have never, if you'd asked me 2 months ago if I ever thought that I would be doing that with them, I would have probably said hell no. So I've definitely thought that those were pretty fun, and I agree, especially when you can like pair them up with something like, I know there's been a couple times where people have been playing like Jackbox or something like that. It keeps it more than just like, takes it to another level than just like sitting there staring at the screen and chatting.
Oh yeah, definitely. The party games, we picked up one of the Jackbox sets for a work happy hour that we did, and then we also, there's a Cards Against Humanity clone that you can play online that works pretty well, that we played and in fact liked well enough that I signed up for the Patreon for it to support it, because the guy's just doing it in his spare time for fun. So yeah, definitely the opportunity to do some more interesting stuff instead of just everybody staring at the screen. Because I have found that sometimes you get those hangouts where there's 10 people, 12 people, and like either everybody's talking at once or just one person is talking, and then a bunch of people are kind of sitting around waiting for their chance to jump in. So having the games is fun.
There is like kind of like a sweet spot you want to try to find with like how many people you have attending those things, because you can definitely, there's like a point, I feel like it's like 5 or 6, maybe 7, where you really start to hit like too many people, and you get that situation where like it's been 25 minutes and Brent hasn't had a chance to say anything.
I agree in general, although Brent should always be excluded from conversation whenever possible.
Fair enough, but he doesn't have much to add to this part of the conversation because he hasn't really
because you don't have the internet.
Dribbly, you can... What am I using right now to talk to you? The internet.
He does make a good point, Darby.
One would assume you have a string tied to your bucket, and you just yell into the bucket, and that connects to the interwebs.
I don't think that's how that works.
I
but,
love the concept that Brent just has a string running from his home out into the neighborhood, and somehow it connects up to the internet.
Yeah, it's plugged into his neighbor's coax jack. That's how that works.
Every once in a while, they run over it with the lawnmower. All right. Well, I think that was a good little exercise. It's nice. Definitely been nice to have more opportunities to get out, or maybe not more opportunities, but less excuses to not go out. We'll say that. I've been going on some more walks around my neighborhood and at a few parks, and I had a little picnic down by the river at Genoa Park the other day. That was really nice. So definitely take advantage of the weather now that it's starting to warm up outside, guys. And explore Columbus.
Have you looked outside? It's been trashed the past couple of days.
Well, the past couple of days, but that was Friday. I went and had my picnic, so it was nice that day. And
that was a week ago, John. You've lost track of time, just like the rest of us.
Oh my God, you're right. It has been almost basically a week. Holy shit! It really feels like it was just yesterday. Oh God. Can we talk about how it felt like March lasted 4 years, but April lasted 4 hours?
Right. Yeah. I can't believe it was like, oh yeah, it's time to do all those end of the month bills and stuff. And, thankfully it's something where I knock on wood, haven't been affected by all the coronavirus stuff, but it does feel what you're like, wait, didn't I just pay all those bills and I have to do it again?
Yeah. Yeah. It went real fast.
Yeah. I had the same thing with my landlord. I got an email from Wagenbrenner the other day. I was like, why are they emailing me right now? Oh shit, it's time for the rent reminder.
Is your landlord acknowledged the situation at all?
Not really that I've seen. Everything's just been, hey, your rent is due. Luckily, I'm not affected by that, but I don't really know what other people who are doing.
I wonder if it's I wouldn't be surprised if companies like that are taking the approach of we're not going to offer any help, but if people reach out to us for help, we'll give it, kind of a thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't necessarily want people to take advantage of it if they don't need to, but yeah, I thought it was interesting because my landlord also hasn't made any communication, which I'm generally fine with because I'm a fan of landlords who leave you the hell alone.
Unless you need them to do something and then they're not around.
Right. Yeah. And mine's been really responsive with stuff. So that's great. But otherwise it's if you don't need me, I don't need you. Just keep sending the check. And
right.
I was a little surprised something didn't come out because I know he rents to a lot of students as well, but because I would imagine students in particular are going to have some kind of weird situations these days. If some of them are going home early, trying to get out of their leases, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting. I would hope that places like that are being understanding and flexible given the situation. But okay, well, next up, our topic conversation here is supposed to be the step competition check-in with Brent. So we'll get the Brent portion of it out of the way. Brent, have you been keeping up with your steps, and how many have you been logging?
I have. So I have set a goal for myself of over 20,000 on days where I work and over 10,000 on days where I don't. And I was able to do that last week, which gives me an average of a little over 15,000 for the week.
Wow,
man. I think that's really impressive.
So, okay, 15,000 for the week. So you got over 100,000 steps? Is my math right?
It's about 120,000 or a little over.
Wow, well done.
Jesus. Brent is I don't remember what the numbers were last time, but that's a fifth or a sixth of what I think the last place teams were logging last week for 2 weeks worth of walks. So that's pretty insane. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty
and
insane.
I'm not even top 5 on my team.
Oh,
damn.
really? Wow.
Oh, so
Holy
you're getting
shit.
in like an individual person breakdown, like from your team captain or something?
This past week he sent out just the top 5 list as a congratulations to those 5 people.
Nice. That's pretty
Now,
cool.
my new average that new total of 120,000 actually would have put me into the top 5 had I had that the week before. So I don't know what it would look like this week, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking to that, we don't know what anything looks like this week because the crew has failed to post this week's totals, so there are no standings to be read, no shade to be thrown. Was this collapse of this program inevitable? Word was from you guys that people are failing to log steps and submit steps. What do we think about this? Are we surprised?
I think, and all of this is secondhand because I'm not doing the fucking thing. But it seems like they are managing to work things out in some ways. I saw some indication that some people who've had problems remembering to get their steps in have been able to contact their team captains and get them submitted after the fact, which that may be a part of the delays in the step totals then. But yeah, this is a tough thing. There's a reason that it's the word challenge is in the title. I think you're going to have people who sort of fall off. There's logistical challenges with setting something up. They hadn't done anything like this before, so they were completely doing it on the fly. But yeah, I've kind of wondered, you get 2 weeks in and you see that your team is 1 million steps behind the leader. Do you wind up kind of checking out a little bit? Like, oh, well, fuck that. But then again, if you've got a Brent who can, put in 120,000 steps in a week, that'll make up some distance really, really quickly. Especially, I think all teams are going to suffer from some sort of attrition there, that just people lose interest or forget or whatever. So I would think this is still anyone's game.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what the updated standings are. I'm disappointed that they haven't posted them yet. Hopefully they'll get those out in the next 24 hours so people can see how things are going, because this is the last week that we're entering into for the competition. So yeah, what I would be also curious of is, like, if given the nature of the competition and we all know the first place team is going to win a prize of some kind yet to be announced. Do you think that they're going to give that prize to everyone that's on the first place team, even if they failed to report steps? And if they are, do you think that they should?
Oh, so Joe Schmo literally has 0 steps recorded for the team?
Yeah, or even if Joe had only logged 1 week worth of steps, should you have recorded 4 weeks worth of steps and be on the winning team in order to get the prize?
Yeah, that's interesting, because you'd have to draw an arbitrary line in the sand at some point where it's if you did 2 weeks, that's okay, but if you did 1 week, that's not, or you had to have at least 10 total days. Because, yeah, somebody who maybe they only do 5,000 steps a day, but they do it for 3 weeks, is that better or worse than somebody who put in 20,000 steps a day for the first week and then checked out?
Yeah, right. It's an interesting thing to think about, just something that popped into my head.
I say just give everybody on the winning team the $5 scarf and move on.
Is that what you think it is, or is that what you know it is, or did I miss something about an announcement about what the prize is, Brent?
No, I don't think they've announced it. That's just, I'm guessing with the amount of people that are participating in this thing, it's just going to be one of the cheap FO scarves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, do you know how many people are actually on your team, Brent?
I think I have 83.
Yeah, that's...
Oh, wow, yeah. Okay, so they're not giving out, jerseys or anything, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I would highly doubt it. I mean, maybe they'll look at it and like give the entire winning team a thing and then decide to like take the top 3 individuals and give them an extra prize. They didn't say they were doing that, but you never know.
I mean, let's be honest, there might be a lot of surplus merch at the gear shop this year, so maybe they will give out some sweet prizes.
That's true. I was thinking about that the other day of what a bummer it is to have the Children's Hospital jersey sponsorship end up being for this year, where there's potentially only going to have been 2 games played with it on the shirt.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Oh, that reminds me, actually, now that they've got those, those are officially in and available for order, incidentally. If anybody hadn't heard yet, you can purchase the jerseys with the Nationwide Children's logo on them now.
And I assume that means you can also go in and get it put on for free if you bought one before the sponsor was announced, right?
And I think they were doing that before. I don't know if the gear shop is going to be open. I mean, at such point, maybe as they're open and able to do things, I would guess they probably would.
Is the gear shop open for business?
I
walk-in business, or is it just delivery?
Yeah, I don't think the actual shop is open right now.
Okay.
Oh yeah, currently the online store has 20% off orders over $49. So I don't know.
Pretty good.
Let's see if that applies to jerseys real quick. No, it doesn't.
It does not. No.
Yeah, I saw somebody posting that on Twitter where they were like circling the banner that said all orders over a certain price, and then it was like excluding their jersey.
Yeah,
they
it's
were
like
kind of
well, it says there's a little asterisk and it says terms and conditions apply, but it doesn't say anywhere on the pop-up what those terms and conditions are.
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah.
It's very MLS of them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, I might have to get off my dead ass and order the new jersey here soon.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. There's probably going to be a huge surplus of merch. So if anybody's tight on cash, you could also just wait. I imagine they're going to have a whole bunch of stuff they're going to need to move at some point with the new season, having its own round of merch coming in.
Well, okay, so related to that, as a curiosity, I'm scrolling through the online store, and so they have pre-done jerseys for a number of players currently. So you've got Celerajan, Pedro, Darlington Nagby, Jossie, and that's it. John, you're not a name and number on a jersey kind of guy, are you?
Nope. I have only ever gotten 2 names on jerseys ever in my entire life, and they were both U.S. jerseys. And I'm just not a name on the jersey guy because I don't like the concept of owning a jersey for a player that's not on my team anymore, and that's why I made the exception with U.S. jerseys, because while they may not necessarily always be on the team, they're always American, whereas Zardes isn't necessarily always going to be a crew guy, and he's not even from Columbus. So yeah, no, I don't do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I actually, as it turns out, I'm the same way without intending to, because I have one men's national team jersey and one women's national team jerseys that have names on them, and that's it. And I was sitting here just scrolling through thinking, is there a player whose name right now on the roster that I would want? And it's not an indictment of any of the players, but I don't think there is.
Like just because you don't have an attachment to those people yet, or are you talking about just from this? Are you talking about roster completely, or this small list that you just read off?
The roster in general, and I think you're right. There's definitely an element of, if I were going to do that, I would want somebody who had a strong connection to the team that I felt connected to, and hopefully was going to be around for a while. And maybe
so you wouldn't even get like a Josh Williams jersey.
And I like Josh Williams, and if I were to, I don't know if I would buy one out of the gear shop necessarily. like if I had the opportunity to get, a sexy, sweaty, game-worn Josh Williams jersey, I might be interested in that. But there's something about dropping. Oh Lord, is that really that's $165
They're
authentic
very
jersey?
expensive. Yeah. The authentics are very, very expensive. That's before $164.99 before tax and shipping.
Yeah.
You're probably paying almost $200 for this jersey right now at this given moment.
Yeah. Which makes it all the more amazing that Morgan has deliberately chosen to get Andres Mendoza jerseys like every year.
Yeah.
I cannot be that ironic. I'm sorry. I just can't. Yeah, I think, I'll probably just go with the blank back jersey again with this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will say I was actually honestly considering I would probably have broken my streak of not getting a name if Will Trapp was still here, just because I thought it would be really fun and cool to get this jersey with this sponsor with Will on the back, just as like everything that has gone on in the last few years. Like it just would have been like the perfect quintessential Columbus Crew shirt, but he's gone. So
yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, that would just be it'd be more Columbus than the For Columbus jersey. So yeah, that is a
Not hard
bummer.
to do, Darby.
And that's like saying something, because I honestly think that this black jersey is our worst jersey in the history of the Crew, including the For Columbus kits, which I don't hate, but
it looks a little better with a logo on it, a little.
Yeah, I just think that pattern is really awful. I just think it makes it look like a cheap polo that you buy from Dick's Sporting Goods to go play golf or something in rec basketball.
Yeah, and so this was supposed to be like wasn't this the 20th anniversary of the Adidas partnership or something? Isn't that why the three stripes?
Yeah, that's why everybody's got the 3-stripe jersey for this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So is there any chance it's a one and done, and
I would imagine probably so. No, because we
you
know
have a new
that
yellow one next year.
Yeah, we know how it rotates, so this will be the black for next year as well, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if the Crew gets a special exception in 2021 and gets maybe a new black and a new yellow, since it's supposed to be the season of the new stadium, and hype and excitement should be all-time high, and hopefully there'll be a bunch of new fans coming in, and you'll be counting on new merch. And so I wouldn't be shocked if we got a new black and a new yellow, but if everything holds as it has been, this will be the black for next year.
Sure. And maybe that's a sort of a pseudo rebrand of sorts then, not necessarily screwing with the fundamentals, but just hitting the reset on the jerseys all at once. I could see that.
Right. Yeah. And a potential not rebrand but refresh of the brand, which we've been told, or has been rumored to maybe coming at some point, which might necessitate a new black jersey as well.
Yeah.
Who knows what details there are involved with that.
Sure. And there's also the weird fact that this is a 1-year sponsorship, right? So if you buy the black jersey this year, you get Nationwide Children's. If you buy the black jersey next year, if they haven't switched it, it will be Nationwide Insurance.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even consider that. Yeah. Right. So you could technically be buying the same jersey, with the only difference being the sponsor.
Yeah.
Which would feel weird to me. But yeah. Well, it was good jersey talk that we didn't necessarily plan to do, but it was a nice conversation. Let's see. So this week we've got for Crew Superlatives. Darby, do you want to tell us what we're talking about and maybe go first? I don't know if you have an answer for the question set up or.
Sure. Yeah. So the inspiration for this week's question is basically, oh my God, please let this thing be over and let us all get together again at some point. And what a what a game will look like once we're able to get past all this and get back to something resembling normal. So the question is, in that first game back, and you can go with one person if you want, or you can select a team, but who would you like to have call that first crew game once we're back from the shutdown? So, whether it's just one person doing the whole thing.
And you don't necessarily mean actual announcers. You mean literally anyone in the world, right?
Literally anyone, yes, of any person in the world, because obviously there are some great options who are not professional sports broadcasters, but you want them for their persona or something like that. So this could literally be any person or persons in the world. So I decided on a 2-person broadcast team for this, with a little bit of contrast. So my first choice when I thought of this, and this is a little bit of a cliche, but having Morgan Freeman do something related to the game, the guy just has the best voice ever, and so I would love to hear him call in just that very sort of unexcited. I mean, it's not as though he's monotone, but like just a very mellow voice. I just want him to call like a 4-3 action-packed game, and then his partner in the broadcast booth be Frankie after he's had 4 or 5 cappuccinos. So you get like that super chill, mellow guy, and then you have just fucking cracked out Frankie bouncing off the walls, losing his shit constantly. I imagined, a halftime where Morgan Freeman turns the mic off and just like smacks Frankie around for a couple of minutes, keep him in line. Yeah,
I love it.
So I'm going with the combination of super chill and super hyper, because I feel like that'll be a good representation of what the game will be like. We'll be getting back into it, so yeah.
All right. I can go next. I am doing. I'm gonna do a team, but it's different than what you're expecting here. So I'm going to be doing a 3-person broadcast team here. I've got 2 in the booth and 1 down on the sidelines. And the first person in the booth is going to be Will Ferrell doing his Harry Carey impersonation.
Yes.
And then the second person in the booth is going to be Will Ferrell as Ron Burgundy. And then the third person down on the sideline is going to be Will Ferrell as Buddy the Elf.
Oh my god.
So I'm not really sure how he's going to get from the booth down to the sideline in time for the cutbacks and back and forths, but if I could just clone him and have 3 of him, each doing a different character, that would be who I would like to have do it.
Oh my god. And just like every single thing Will Ferrell has done, that will be fantastic for the first couple of minutes, but over 90 minutes it'll be absolutely excruciating.
Yeah, it'll be hilarious. You'll be like pissing yourself laughing, and then by like the 15th, 20th minute, you'll be so goddamn annoyed that you'll switch to the Spanish language broadcast channel where he'll be doing Ricky Bobby but in Spanish.
That's true because Baxter, he doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you go to the Spanish language channel, and it's Ricky Bobby and what's his name, Mugatu, the character from Zoolander. So that's my options there.
Yeah. What you got, Brent?
All right. I'm actually going to go with a 4-person crew here. In the booth, I want Chris Berman and Frankie Haydock calling the game together. And then on the sideline, I'm going to make Morgan Hughes work a soccer game with the Columbus Crew Eagle right behind him everywhere he goes.
I love it. Just looming in the background.
Yeah.
He has no idea who it is in the suit. It could be David Miller again. It could be anybody. You just never. It could be an actual eagle. You never know.
Yeah, I would definitely. Although that would be one of the times where I'm like, can you please cut back to the sideline again? I don't even care what's happening on the field at this point.
Yeah, we'd need instead of the Beckham cam, we'd need the Eagle cam. All right, I love it. Hopefully one day soccer will return and one of our dreams can become a reality. I mean, Will Ferrell is involved in MLS as one of the co-owners of LAFC, so I feel like mine has some legs.
Absolutely. I think you should, send an email, get this set up now so that, you're not interfering with the filming of Zoolander 7 or anything like that.
Right. I'll start the wheels turning now. That's a good point.
It also has to be during an LAFC away day so that he doesn't have to, do the Flying Falcon thingy.
Oh, does he do the Flying Falcon thing every home game for them?
I think so.
I thought that was just a one-time thing and they rotated who was doing it.
Among their 50 owners.
Yeah, among all their different owners. What is the deal with that Falcon anyways? Does anyone know the story behind that? Why is that synonymous? Why is that the thing they chose to do?
Yeah, I have no clue on that one.
One would assume that Seattle owned the right to a Seahawk, so...
They were just we can't cut down a tree, we can't, we just need something, we need a thing. Let's get a hawk boy.
It never occurred to us that we might want a mascot or an animal associated with this team, so let's just pick one at random. What's that? The San Diego Zoo has an extra bird available? Great, sign it up.
Oh my god. I hope that was really how that came to pass. Oh, man. All right. Well, I think that the only thing left to do here is to discuss the possibilities of Brent's sideline team actually breaking down into a violent interaction. And you know what would happen if that took place between Morgan and the Eagle is that's one of them. I don't know who.
Pregnant.
But, well, yeah, one of them would definitely wind up pregnant. Who winds up pregnant in that instance, Darby? Is it Morgan?
They might both, actually.
They both inseminate each other?
Yeah, Morgan carries an egg, and the eagle has a live birth, and yeah.
I love it. Well, I feel like regardless of how it goes down, a crime will have been committed, and one of them is going to need legal defense, and who better to call in that situation than the law office of Brian Jones, so that Brian and his team can either defend the Eagle or Morgan. I don't know. Can they defend them both? How does this work? I don't know. I'm not a lawman.
I don't think they can represent two people that are suing each other.
Brent, no one can really understand what you're saying. Yeah. You've got the bucket on your thing again.
Yeah, can they represent the person who's trying to murder Brent right now by suffocating him to death?
The better question is, do they want to represent that person?
That's true. I think that's called justifiable homicide. So, never mind. We're fine.
Yeah, well, if you're listening, Brent's murderer, and you do need legal defense, feel free to call 740-363-3900. Get in touch with Brian and his team for all of your criminal defense needs. All right. And with that, we'll move on here to Man Balls. It's been a banner week for Man Balls. Lots of choices of who to give them out to. Does anyone want to go first? Great. Fabulous. I'll go first. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give one man ball to Brent because I'm actually really genuinely impressed by the amount of steps you've been putting in, dude. Are you going to be able to keep that kind of pace up at the new job? Or is that going to be more of a stand in place kind of a thing?
I do not know the answer to that. I don't know how that process works yet, so we'll see. But no matter what, I'm definitely going to try to keep the steps up. So
the competition will be over by then, though, won't it? Anyways, so I guess you won't have the obligation.
I would still like to keep that amount of movement up.
Nice, yeah, that's good activity.
I think it should work because if I understand correctly, they hang all the masks on a line. So if you just run down the line and lick them as you go, that will get a lot of steps in.
It's like suicides, but with your tongue out. And then for my second man ball, oh god, who to give it to? I don't even know here. How about the yet to be named Columbus champion? I don't know what the fuck this is about, but the crew announced it was that yesterday or today that they're going to nominate a Columbus champion, which is supposed to be like someone who's done something for the community. That person, whoever it ends up being, gets a man ball.
Yeah, so they've already given that out once. It's like a recurring thing that they're going to do. I don't remember who the first person was. I think he might have been a teacher.
Okay. Interesting. I don't remember ever hearing about this before. This isn't like the continuation of like the biggest fan thing, is it? That's something different, right?
I don't remember that, so I can't say for sure, but this is like supposed to be like community service and like contributing positively to the community.
Okay. Well, whoever ends up winning that, congratulations. You also win my man ball. So yeah. Darby, do you want to go next?
Sure. My first man ball goes to whoever made the foolish decision at Battelle to hire Brent. You have no idea what you're in for, but I'm glad you're keeping him away from our nation's water supply now. God only knows what he was doing in those bottles when he was behind the scenes. And Brent, by the way, before you leave, can you tell your employer that it's about time for a good soda sale at the stores? I'm tired of seeing like $4 12 packs. That's unacceptable. And how dare you?
Darby, they're 3 for $11 right now.
Yeah, Kroger currently does have 3 for $11. Thank you. But it took you long enough. Again, I say, how dare you?
Also had 24 packs on sale for checks notes $5.99 just 2 weeks ago.
Wow, he's really got the receipts to make you look like a fool, Darby.
I know. Well, you can't get 24 packs of Diet Ginger Ale, which is essential in these bourbon-laden days.
Well, we don't have Diet Ginger Ale anyway, so that's not my problem.
That's because, yeah, you did work for the inferior beverage company. I do understand that. My second man ball can be shared equally amongst all the ACES radio listeners this week. As we have sat here and tried to work out our bullshit and figure out things to talk about, you've still been listening. So thank you for continuing to humor us during this process.
All right. I think those are both worthy man ball assignments. Brent, do you want to round it out with some sort of disappointing allocation of your man balls?
Absolutely, I do, John. The first man ball this week is going to go out to the legend known as Orb Gardney. Happy birthday, my dude. Hope you had a good day. Second man ball, we'll just give it to Kai Kamara.
What the fuck, Brent? God damn it. Why? You have to justify it. You can't just say, well, we're going to give it to Kai Kamara.
That's the fucking third time this season he's given it to Kai Kamara, incidentally.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Now there needs to be a reason. You can get away with that once, maybe twice, but I'm not letting it happen again.
The reason is because
the person's smothering you again. Nobody can understand what you're saying.
Well, even if he
literally
were
not doing anything
understand.
differently now than I was earlier.
You say no, you're not doing everything differently, but every time it goes from shitty to good, there's a ruffling noise like you're doing something to the phone. So
I'm really not. I'm holding it up right in front of my face.
We'll keep doing that.
Yeah, do that forever.
Yeah.
Boy.
All right, what's your excuse?
My excuse is that it gets this kind of reaction from the two of you.
If I'm honest, if I were Orb Gardney, I'd be really offended right now for you putting him on the same level as Kai Kamara on his most special of days.
Well, first of all, Kai Kamara is a legend, so should be honored that I would put them on the same platform.
How dare you, on the 50th birthday of Orb Gardney, compare him to Kai Kamara?
Brent, as the Bandit says in Smoking the Bandit, a legend and an out-of-work bum look a lot alike.
What does that even mean?
That means
I was
Kai
going to ask the
Kamara
same question.
He's an out of work bum. Yeah, right. God, I hate
But
you
he's
guys.
not out of work. He's still signed to a team.
Darby, you can't quote movies from 50 years ago and expect us to know them.
Well, that's very true. God damn it. But no, Brent, do you think Kai Kamara will play again next season when we actually have soccer again?
Yes, I do.
Do you think he'll be playing for Colorado?
I don't know. I would say there's a pretty good chance of that.
What makes you think
But I do
that?
think he will ultimately end his career right here in the 614.
Oh my
One
God,
last season
Brent.
with the crew.
One last season, because the first two weren't enough, or the first two stints weren't enough. Oh goodness,
No, they
Brent.
absolutely were not. We need more Kai Kamara, John.
Jesus.
No, that is not a thing that we need.
I don't see that going well. Him and Porter are not gonna get along well. They're both too far up their own asses.
You know what? That's actually a really fair thing to say.
Yeah, if it was another coach, I could maybe understand, but
I wish MLS were more transparent and we knew. I would assume Kai's contract probably has to be up after this year. I mean, nobody's signing him to like multi-year deals at this point, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. He hasn't had like his 2 seasons before he went to Colorado weren't terrible. He had 12 goals and then 14 goals, and then he went to Colorado and had 14 goals again last year. So and he scored once in the first 2 games this season. So I feel like no one really signs really long-term deals in MLS though. I feel like it's always like 2, maybe 3 years.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. He'll be. So if we don't play any more this season, he will turn 36 in September. So he'll be 36 and a half years old by the time next season starts.
Is he making DP money currently? Do you guys know, Brent?
I don't know the answer to that. Not sure what his contract situation is.
You don't know how much Daddy makes. You don't care. You just all that matters to you is that he hands you the black card and lets you go and get 2-for-1 sodas or whatever it was.
Kai Kamara is making $750,000 per season.
That's DP money, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah, I think isn't it like anything over like 510,000 or something. I think he's making 3 times as much money as Ola Kamara, which is a goddamn disgrace.
That's pretty crazy, honestly. Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right, guys.
You know
well,
what? Just to make you happy, John, I will change my second man ball to Frankie Haydock. Congrats on that massive fish that you caught.
dude, that fish was insane. I am not a fisher boy, but holy shit, I was impressed by the size of that thing.
Yeah, it looked like maybe that was a record in Ohio for whatever kind of fish that was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, somebody posted a picture of, I don't remember what the name of the fish was, but they had a list of lengths and weights of various fish, and I think his was at least a pound or two bigger than the one listed on the record page.
Oh, damn, that's pretty sweet, actually.
Yeah.
Huh? He's been so into that the last couple years. It makes me happy to see him like getting so invested and passionate about something like that.
I really wish they would just like make the TV show.
Fishing with Frankie. Yeah. I mean, a good marketing team would have already been putting episodes out.
Yeah. So the fish is called a muscalunge. And he said it was over 56 inches, which is incredible. So John Cry posted a picture, and I can't see what the source is on this, but it says current Ohio record fish. And for a muscalunge, the length was 50 1/4 inches. So that thing is nearly 5 inches bigger than the previous record holder, if that's true.
Wow, it's not like he just beat it by a little bit then. Good Lord.
Yeah.
I just looked it up, and it looks like the average weight for an adult one of those is 39 pounds. That's a big-ass fucking fish.
Yeah, and that record holder was a 55-pounder, so it looks like maybe overall they're like a pound an inch or so once they get up that height.
Huh.
So, yeah, so Frankie might have had a 55 to 60-pound fish that he caught.
That's
That is
crazy.
wild.
I've never heard of that fish. Is that like a fish that people would typically eat, or is that?
I think muskies are pretty common for fishing. I don't know if they're eating fish or not, though. I'm not a
Drabby,
big...
you've been around forever. Do you know the answer?
So I Googled this, and
I think you can bake it. I see a few recipes for baked muskie.
Yeah, like although some of it's like, what do they eat? Because it's a 50-pound fish. It eats more than it gets eaten, generally speaking. But yeah, it looks like some people do eat these. We'll see if we can find you a recipe, Brent. So next time you're out fishing.
On a quick Google search of this brings up a website called US Angler, and apparently you can eat it, but they recommend catch and release. So I don't know why,
Does
but
it say why?
I'm looking real fast.
Because most people get tired of fish before they eat 50 pounds worth.
Yeah, probably. Let's see. Muskies are particularly vulnerable to overfishing. In their native waters, they are robustly regulated, protected by bag limits and size restrictions, as well as limitations on legal technique. But
so
muskies have been introduced widely into non-native waters in the northern U.S. and can be a threat to native species. So maybe it depends on where you're fishing, like whether they're native or not.
Yeah, and if it's also to a point where like you're required to release them back into the wild if they're a certain size, then you really can't eat them.
Here it is at the little farther down, where muskies are native and regulated. Practice catch and release fishing, but in areas where muskies have been introduced and are thus not regulated, feel free to keep your catch as you're helping to protect native species from an invasive predator. Yeah, so there you go. So I would imagine we probably count as part of the northern U.S., like it said, so they're not native to here. So if you wanted to catch them and eat them, could. It's got the same article has 3 recipes: one for musky croquettes, one for musky cakes, and one for just pan roasted musky. So, yeah.
Is there a recipe for musky waffles?
There's not, but I'm sure that if you wanted to make those, you certainly could. Not too far away from a cake, right? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hashtag will it waffle?
Yeah, the salmon waffles were just salmon cakes that were smushed into a waffle maker.
I mean, I ate that last season, and I didn't hate it. But, yeah. All right, guys. Is there anything else that anyone wants to chat about before we go into the episode wrap here? Crew-related or not?
I got nothing else.
All right, guys. Well, let's wrap it up here. It's an extra short show. And in that vein, we want to give you guys a little bit of a heads up here. We've talked about it amongst the 3 of us, and we think that just given the continued shutdown of everything due to the virus and the continued uncertainty around if and when MLS will return for this season, we've been obviously struggling to keep the show full of content that's, not just filler, but hopefully also still entertaining and quality, and just like stuff that we're happy to and proud to put out, but also that you guys will find interesting to listen to. And that is definitely continuing to get harder and harder. And so we think that what makes the most sense for the show at this time is to take a little bit of a break and see how things progress as far as society opening back up again. So this is going to be our last show for probably about a month, Darby. That's what we're aiming for?
Yeah, I think so. If it's not like we're not all perfectly accessible. If something really comes up and there's a reopening or something that really warrants discussion, we can certainly pop on. But yeah, we don't want to keep just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. So it seems like maybe giving it a month and seeing where things stand gives us an opportunity to actually have something useful to talk about next time around.
Yeah, I just think it's important that we, if we're going to keep doing shows, we keep doing shows that we're happy with and that we feel good about giving, putting out into the world. And I know I've been struggling with making sure that the content is just up to par, and hopefully it hasn't shown through too much. But I think this will be good for us and good for the show, and I look forward to continuing to do it when and if soccer returns in 2020. So hopefully that happens sooner than later. And either way, you'll hear back from us around the end of May. But yeah, until then, everybody stay safe and stay healthy and stay sane and get out there and get your steps and all that. So, okay. Are you guys ready to do the thing that we always fuck up?
We just did the thing that we always fuck up for the last half hour or so.
That's a fair point. What if we just didn't do anything else then and we just called it here?
Stay home.
That was great. I loved it.
Ooh, strong disagree. Ugh, it's cringe humor.